Alrighty, so that's what I'm doing today. So it is a fucking cold day today. It's about freaking 20-ish. Sunny out though, at least. But I'm dressed up here like a freaking grizzly bear because my hand.
What's going on here today? What the hell is this?
She's fucking cold out. But yeah, I just ordered the.
Government at work?
I had ordered the antenna for that base station antenna for the.
26 years I've never seen it backed up like this on a Saturday.
Yeah, I had ordered that base station antenna for the house, so we'll see if that does any good. But that probably won't be here early next week sometime, because they got 4-day shipping on their sumbitch deal on eBay. I ordered it on eBay, so I figured I'd give you guys an update on the field after the 1586 chisel plowed twice. This is the second round. I did this round not yesterday, but the day before. So 2 days in a row, I chisel plowed this field. I didn't think I would have to, but the younger guy suggested that I do it to break it up even more. Which, after looking at it, after what he said, it definitely needed to be worked up a second time. So what happened was, if you guys remember the first video that I uploaded, I was kind of going southwest to a northeast direction. So I was kind of going this direction, because north is just straight ahead. So we went kind of this direction. Well, he told me to go this direction now, which would be would be northwest and southeast. Kind of that way. You know, or another way you can look at it is go along with the poles. So the poles are going in that direction. So there's a total of 3 poles in the field, and then there's one right there, but we don't plow that. So the second round was a hell of a lot more bumpier than the first round, that's for damn sure. But after going over it the second time, it definitely busted it up and made it look a little bit nicer. I think that other little field over there could have been, probably should have been worked up a second time as well, but I only just kind of nicked it a little bit. I didn't bother fucking with it too much, just because that little son of a bitch over there isn't even worth doing anything with. It's such a piece of shit little tiny little field. This field's more what you want to spend time on, because this is where you make, you know, most of your money off of. So, but yeah, that first video that I put up of doing the first round of chisel plowing, that was my first time ever chisel plowing, or even coming close to it. The closest thing I've come to a turn in dirt would have been hooking the cultivator up to the 4-wheeler and working up the gardens, which is kind of nothing. But yeah. So the second time went a little bit smoother, because, well, because I knew what the hell I was doing. The first time I didn't really exactly know what the hell I was doing. I mean, he told me what to do, but there's still things that he didn't teach you. You know, some things you just have to learn on your own. Well, I've learned a few things, so, you know, so, but yeah, this little corner here, I guess that's supposed to be part of the grain field too. That should have got worked over again, but, you know, that's kind of you know, you make mistakes your first time out, and I've made a couple of mistakes on that other little piece I picked up too early there in some spots, and didn't bother to correct them. So, yeah, but we're gonna most likely be leaving her now. I know Beartech was saying you probably should go over it with the disc. Well, it's not going to get disc this year. It'll probably definitely for sure next year. and then it'll probably get hit with a cultivator, and then we'll probably seed it if he wants to. If he plans on doing anything with it. If he don't plan on doing anything with it, I'll probably most likely leave my tractor hooked up to either the disc or the cultivator, and I'll probably hit this field once a month, probably. Someone was recommending to spray this or not to spray. Well, one was recommending the spray, and one was recommending the mow. Putting a brush hog on the 1586. Now, a brush hog. No, the 1586 is extremely overkill for brush hogging. That's ridiculously too big for that. You know, I mean, yeah, they make batwing mowers that are designed up to 160 horsepower tractors. It's just that for the amount of ground that we would do, you could get away with something smaller like a 986 or even smaller than that. I would definitely not go any smaller than a compact utility tractor, because if you go too small, you're going to be here all day. Like my X724, hell, you'd be here all summer just trying to keep half of this mowed. You know, it's too much. So you got to have a good, you know, horsepower range tractor to do that. You know, maybe a 986 or even smaller, down to a John Deere 3720 utility tractor would be good. But a 1586 is ridiculously freaking overkill. And you can't mow this field because, well, you can do it. It's just the point that you got to keep it worked up, because if you're going to keep it a grain field, or a crop field, I should say. Well, if you say crop field, basically hay is your crop too, because you can harvest that, you know, or bale it or whatever. It's the point that if you plan on putting in grain, you know, corn, soybeans, sunflowers, whatever, you name it. Unless you're doing no-till. See, we don't do no-tilling around here because it's just not needed. Maybe, because, you know, this is not a high productive farm, you know, we're just doing this. This is just basically like a hobby farm. We're not serious about it. Like, you know, a lot of farmers around here do take their farming seriously. Well, they have to, because they're big-time farmers, and they need to make their maximum amount of, you know, dollars. So, to them, it would be worth it to, you know, maybe do no-tilling. Here, we don't do that. We just strictly till, so, or as a couple days ago, we chisel plowed it. So, but, yeah, yeah, and then I can't remember what the hell the guy was saying, but he was saying something about a brush hog, and he was saying to mow everything. From what I could understand, well, if we did that, we wouldn't have hay to cut. What you need to do, no matter what kind of field it is you need to spray. Now, this field, since I have a tractor, I'll probably most likely be, you know, cultivating it if he doesn't plan on seeding anything in it next year. He might seed it, you know, I don't know. But the thing is that if you do not plan on using a field for a couple years, let's just say maybe there's something wrong with the field and it needs to settle for a couple of years, you need to either work the ground up, keep it worked up all summer long, or you need to spray it then and keep your weeds down, because this field never got touched for about maybe a year or two. Never even got worked once. And then when those weeds came up in here and started seeding, they started ruining the hayfield. So this is why we have an issue with weeds now, because the old timer didn't bother, you know, doing anything with it. He didn't bother even teaching me how to do it. I mean, I would have been more than glad enough to do it for him. Give him the tractor, hook it up for me, tell me how to do it, and I'll do it. You know, if he doesn't have the time to do it, I'll do it for him then. But he didn't teach me nothing, and there's just nothing we could do about it. So this is why we have the freaking weed issues in this field. And it's not so much the old timer's fault, it's just the point that he couldn't get down here right away. Right? So what are you gonna do, right? So yeah, he just he didn't have the time to do it or whatever. He was just too busy doing whatever he had to do. I'm trying to put my gloves on here because my hands are fucking freezing. And these gloves ain't no better, but at least something, a little bit of something's better than nothing at all. So that is the reason why we have so many weeds. Now, I do plan on buying a sprayer, like I've said, either for Big Red or I'm going to end up putting a bigger one in the pickup truck for weed control for out here. Because, you know, you can't really have this problem. You know, we had oats in here this year, and they did. I don't think it did the best. I think it could have done a lot better than that. But what are you going to do? It's been kind of such a freaking wet year that you just got to take what you can. So we only got about half a truckload out of here, which is pathetic. I've seen years where we've had up to 3 trucks in here trying to get this grain out of here because we've just had so much of it. But then the third truck was only about half full, so, and that was our half, so, but, you know, we've had at least good 2 or 3 trucks in here, and you know, and both of them were just single axles, and there was 1 double axle, so, you know, I mean, they hold a lot of grain, so, but, yeah, you have to do something with your fields. If you're not going to plant anything with them, keep them worked up. Even if it's just, you know, a cultivating here and there and whatever. You don't have to go insane like chisel plow it or anything unless unless it's, you know, needed for your kind of a deal. But if you can get away with just strictly disking or even just, you know, hitting with the colorator, it'll do it some good. See, now, those weeds came from wherever, those burdocks. They weren't really coming from us, so, but they've seeded over to our side of the land, right? So now we have to try to fight this now and try to keep our property clean, because the state doesn't bother to mow that or anything, even though they should, or spray it or something, but they don't know they probably don't know what's in here, and they don't want to hit anything important, so but yeah, you have to do something with your fields. You just can't let them go, you know. You got to keep them. If you're going to let them go, you got to at least spray, because if you don't spray to keep the weeds down, then you're spreading your fucking mess to, you know, to your neighbors, and they ain't going to appreciate that. I don't appreciate it that this guy here, he ain't doing anything with his weeds, you know. I mean, yeah, we're going to be doing what we can now to keep the shit under control, but, you know, it's not going to happen until next year. Over the winter months, I'm going to buy a sprayer and let you have it, and, you know, be done with it. See, this field here only got hit 1.5 times. It got hit that first time, and I hit about half of it that second time, but I only did about half of it, so 1 round coming here into this field and 1 round to go back home, so, you know, I only did about half of it. He's probably, I think he wanted me to hit this thing too, but this little fucking strip isn't worth nothing to me. I'm just burning precious diesel fuel then at this point. But you can see how in this field there's a lot more grass standing than there was in the other one. You know, I mean, it looks like here it didn't even do fuck all, right? Well, that's what happens when you don't hit them twice. You got to hit them twice to keep the weeds down and to bust up the ground a little bit better. But, see, my problem is here, right here. You can see there's still grain standing here. Well, this is where, this here should have been chisel plowed, and I made the same fuck up down there too. I picked it up too early, so we'll have to hit her next year with the disc or something and try to work it under, but for the most part, I got about most of it done. This piece should just be planted grass with the rest of it, so then that way, you know, it's just not worth fucking doing. And where these trees are at, I think this was at one time all one big field, but down in there it's such a damn low spot that it was wet all the freaking time. So I think my great-grandpa just decided to quit farming that little bit there, and he just let the trees grow in, which now the fucking trees are taking over. So need to do something about that too. I don't want to take them all down. I just think we need to take them down a little bit more. I think we could get in there another 5-10 feet and, you know, chisel plow that a little bit and plant something in it and give us, you know, give us something worth fucking doing, you know. So, yeah, and then another guy had left a comment on the tractor. He thought that the rims didn't look right for that tractor. Well, he didn't exactly explain himself very well, and I didn't really get into detail about it. But he was saying the rims. Well, actually, on these tractors, there's two rims. There's a rim that holds the tire, you know, the rubber. The rubber mounts to that. I've actually gotten a new rim. You guys know all about that shit show. And then there's the cast iron rim that's in the center. Okay, well, there's to me that would be considered two rims. Well, so I didn't know exactly what the hell he was talking about. So I kind of just told him, well, you know, if you order a tractor with these kind of tires, that's what it'll look like. So there's nothing wrong with the tires. That's just the way they are. Because I think this tractor was, I think even before the last owners had it, I think someone else must have had it before them, and they used it as a hard pulling tractor. These people that owned it last, I think they just used it for mowing. So, see, but that tractor was set it up to be a hard pulling tractor. That's why the tires were loaded. You know, it never came with any front weights, so, you know, they obviously probably didn't need it to be that heavy, but heavy enough to do what they were doing with it. And someone was telling me to put the Dougals on when doing this kind of stuff. That does two good things for you, and it does, you know, one or two bad things for you. The two good things about it, gives you a softer ride and gives you more traction. Meaning you could pull a bigger chisel plow, you know, and it wouldn't matter. Oh, and then the third thing, actually a third thing too, it carries more weight. So it gets the weight off the main tires a little bit. So it does you some good. The bad thing is about that is that you cannot turn as tight then. You know, so that's, and plus my duals are kind of shot, and I mean they would probably work for what I was doing here, but you know, they're still shot. They got some cuts in them and stuff in the sidewalls and stuff. So yeah, but I figured I'd just give you guys a quick little you know, shot here what this field looks like now after a second time of hitting it. And this is probably going to be the last time you guys see this field for this year, because it's fucking cold out and I ain't going to want to be out here too much longer. So this is what the 1586 did, and I'd say she did a pretty damn good job of it. She wasn't complaining too bad. Well, she wasn't even complaining at all, really. There was just that fucking winding noise that I hated so much. But that only happened when the TA was in the low side, so it's got to be TA related, but it's fucking annoying. But yeah, I didn't bother really cleaning up too much of where I ran over the dirt. Like here I ran over because I was turning around. I didn't bother working it back under. I just left it. You know, I did all the main shit, so it's good enough for me. So, but yeah, so there you go, guys. I'm going to take off. I just want to give you guys this quick little shot what the 1586 did for her first job. So, there you go. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to take off, so I guess have a good day and stuff. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Take her easy.